It's been proven time and time again that people who have an enormous amount of money aren't any happier than people with less. Take President Kennedy. Kennedy was born to wealth, and yet, analyze it. Does he drive a better-looking car than we do? Does he wear better-looking clothes than we do?
Yes.
No.
Does he have a better-looking wife than we do?
Yes.
Son of a gun, got 3 out of 3. What it amounts to. I wouldn't trade places with President Kennedy for the world. Can you imagine, outside of all the goodies, the pressure he faces every day sitting at the executive desk in the White House, just being bugged by the phone calls like, hello, yes, this is the president speaking. Who's calling? Moscow. Is the call paid for? Put him on. Hello, Khrushchev, what's up? Uh-huh. You're putting me on. All right, hang on, I'll check. Hello, Miss Harris, get me Adlai Stevenson at the UN quickly, please. Hello, Adlai, are you in the General Assembly now? Well, look underneath the Russian delegate's desk and see if there's a shoe there. There is. A what? Hang on, I'll ask him. Hello, Khrushchev, did it have a hole in the bottom of it? No, Adlai, that's your old one. Listen, we're looking for a black Oxford with brown shoelaces. Yeah, there's a white sock in it. They're not ahead in everything. You got one. Well, see if it fits the footprint on top of the desk. It does. Yeah, we got it. Right. As soon as possible. Give my regards to Moby Dick. Right. Hello, Adlai, send it out immediately. I said I don't care how comfortable it is, take it off. Hello, Secretary of Labor Goldberg. And how's Mrs. Goldberg? With soap it's loaded. I got a problem here. I know it's got a rust arrestor. Listen to me. I told all the industrialists I was going to bring prices up and salaries down. I told all the unions I was going to boost salaries and cut prices. Now they're all pretty mad at me. What should I do? Put Hyannisport in Jackie's name. Right, thanks a lot. Hello. Jackie, honey, I was just talking about you. Where are you, dear? Home? How did that happen? Well, I'm glad you're back, sweetheart. You got to clean up the house. Are you kidding? Your papers are all over my desk. By mistake, I sent your clothing expenses to Congress with the national budget. Well, nobody said anything because they look so much alike. No, nobody really carried on, except the Army just got a $10 million allocation for bouffant skirts. Don't be ridiculous. Navy's getting stretch pants. Listen, dear, we both have to cut down on expenses. I mean, last year was your handmade petticoat and my Cuban invasion, you know. 2 very expensive slips, dear. Listen, what about the kids? They're starting to call you Aunt Mommy. You think about little Marilyn all the time. It's Carolyn, darling. I think you better hurry home. Yes, I can keep in touch with you through the newspapers, but every time Elizabeth Taylor acts up, I lose track of you for months. Hello. Who's calling? My doctor. What does he want to talk to me about? Oh, my aching back. Yes, put him on. Hello, doctor. Yes, it's much better. Yes, I still use the rocking chair. Well, not all day I am President of the United States, and once in a while I have to get off my rocker. Yes, I rocked last night for 6 hours. 6 hours of rocking, doctor. My back feels much better, but now my knees are killing me. Hello. Secretary of Defense McNamara, I'm glad you called. What units are you reactivating to service? 37th Artillery? Check. 11th Airborne? Check. 2nd Naval Reserve? Check. 2nd Naval Reserve? That's my old outfit. You're putting me on. Well, does that mean that I... Well, don't you people consider this an essential occupation? Well, how about my bad back? And now my knees are killing me. Do you realize I'm the sole support of those 2 little children? What's that? San Diego, Tuesday for shots. Right. Thanks a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, the last statistic from Washington tells us there are 3,900,000 people unemployed in this country today. All those people are unemployed, and yet every day the newspapers are full of help wanted ads. I should like to read some to you so you too will know why nobody's working. Listen to the jobs they're offering. Wanted, senior physicist for analytical work primarily and instrumentation for electromagnetic propulsion and thermionic microwave systems. High school education helpful. Wanted sometime in the near future. Young man must be willing to travel. Apply Dr. Werner von Braun, Cape Canaveral, Florida. Wanted man experienced in selling drugs. Must have fast car. Companion wanted by middle-aged gentleman. Practical nurse desirable. Impractical nurse even more desirable. And one for this gentleman here, I can't resist it. Wanted, mature executive. Minimum 12 years experience for managerial position with international organization to correlate West Coast industrial policy with overseas branch offices. $35 a week to start. I'll take it. If you'll forgive me, sir, you look as though you play the market. I can tell from the drawn expression on your face. You didn't buy Polaroid at 1.5, did you, sir? Nobody did. My uncle's supposed to be an expert. He invested in grain, he lost. He invested in oil, he lost. He was just about broke till he found the one thing that saved him. Steel. And I tell you, that man stole until today he's a millionaire. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying, sir. You shouldn't be afraid of the market. There are a lot of excellent commodities. Now, take gas. AT&T is really in bad shape. The other day I put a dime in a payphone and a voice said, "God bless you." Don't invest all your money in 1 or 2 stocks. That's the danger. I know a man who did put all his money in just 2 stocks, a paper towel company and a revolving door outfit. He was wiped out before he could turn around. There's your Another thing that is definitely not helping our economy is all those darn small foreign cars you're driving. Every time you turn around, one zips through your legs. It's embarrassing. I got hit by a Volkswagen 3 days ago. Took the doctors 4 hours to get it out. And of course, Detroit had to fight back with our own economy cars. Ford has the Falcon, Studebaker has the Lark, even Cadillac feels the pinch. They're making a car called the Vulture. It eats Falcons and Larks. And of course, we finally came up with the perfect safety car. You must have read about it. Every known safety device is in the car, including the test driver who put a sticker on the windshield that read, "Drive as though your life depends on it, because it does." Remember, the real safety factor is the driver. Stay awake, keep alert, couldn't see around the sticker and drove off a cliff. But the safety belt held. That's the point, Charlie. It held. It resisted 2,000 pounds of concentrated pressure. Nothing could force it open. They found it 3 weeks later, stopped it, that they couldn't get the buckle off. How does that grab you, Charlie? Now they have automatically controlled cars, self-operated. They install one of these automatic brains into a sports car made in Israel, went over, took a swing at a Volkswagen. Whenever I think of economic problems, I always recall the words bespake to me by my great forebear, John Jacob Astor. Cynics wherever I go. He said to me, "Young man, if you want to be a success in business today, follow my lead. I came to this country a starving immigrant, went to the North Country and made my fortune by acquiring beaver furs, fox pelts, and mink. And thereby I established the pattern for American business today. And that pattern is skin everything that moves." The easiest answer to our economic problems is conservation. And we prove conservation works right here in New York City with Smokey the Bear. Ever since they put the Smokey the Bear signs in the subways, New York City hasn't had one single forest fire. The acquisition of wealth, and I think you must agree with me in this, the acquisition of wealth is not the important thing. I can best clarify that statement by giving you my bit of philosophy, which is, let the millionaires have their money. Let them have their filthy lucre. At the end of a day, I sit down, light up a smoke, look at the sky, breathe in the air, and I'm happier than any millionaire just sitting there smoking. Now, you don't believe that, do you, sir? But you don't know what I'm smoking either. I think for true happiness, we must learn to overcome the simple and basic fears that we face every day in this country. Guide yourselves by the words of Andrew Carnegie, a man who cared naught for wealth. He gave his entire fortune away. Carnegie was heard to say, "Give me a fine day, a lovely golf course, and a sexy blonde, and you can keep your fine day and your lovely golf course." Christopher Columbus, as he finally set foot upon the shores of the New World, met a delegation of Indians coming down the sands to meet him. He raised his hand in the international sign language and asked, "Where is your chief?" And they answered, "He went to Europe for a couple of weeks." And Alexander Graham Bell, after 14 months of ceaseless toil, finally staggered out of his laboratory, holding in his hands a squat, flat object with wire-like appendages. It was Mrs. Bell. And Captain Samuel Nemo of the United States Navy, after many months of haggling, finally received permission from the Naval Department to take his naval 15,000 leagues below the sea. In the first submarine, the upper world waited and laughed, and finally the message came over the wireless from the first submarine, and the message was, "Help! It doesn't work." I'd like to tell you one story. It's about this very arrogant SS colonel who realized towards the end of 1955, they're still around. He realized towards the end of 1945 that the war was over for Nazi Germany, and copped out by making a deal with the U-boat commander, who in turn took him to the Middle Atlantic, where he met a freighter. The freighter took him to South America, where he cooled it for several years, saved all his money, and finally, when things got quiet, opened his own nightclub. Opening night, he walked out in front of the audience, said, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And welcome to my new hospital. This evening, to start the festivities, I will sing for you several songs, and you will listen." And feel secure. Feel secure in the knowledge that this country is in the hands of the young future executives, the brilliant young minds like Carolyn Kennedy, who at this very moment is in the White House broadening her scope. That child is absolutely brilliant. Of course, her father is never, ever going to let her plan another invasion. But our chief executive is facing one of the biggest problems ever faced by any president. It is the population explosion. Now, I know you're enjoying it. But there is a limit. The facts are 194 million people in this country right now. 3 million more are being born every year, which proves beyond a shadow of a doubt there's a woman delivering a child every 16 seconds. Now we gotta find that woman and stop her! Do you know what it means when 30 people go into the maternity ward? It means that 60 people come out. It's quite serious. Common sense will tell you if this population explosion keeps up very soon, there is going to be a drastic shortage of milk and eggs. I mean, you can push a cow and a chicken just so far. The chickens are saying, "That's it, I've had it up to here." And the cows? The cows are saying, "You've been sitting on that stool for years using my body. Did you ever look up once and say you love me?" How about our vice president from Texas, yippee? Lyndon Johnson. Lyndon Johnson, who has been known to travel thousands of miles a day from his corral to the main house. No, in truth, Johnson does travel quite a bit. He gets into his plane today and says to the pilot, "Go anywhere." We got troubles all over. How about Adlai Stevenson, Big Daddy? Who just came back from his trip to Mexico and South America on our behalf. And before he left for Mexico, Kennedy took Stevenson aside and gave him these sage words of advice. He said, "Adlai, don't drink the water." And Bobby Kennedy, that great American athlete, just came back from a trip around the world. Last year, Bobby was a smash in Africa because he swam around, played touch football. Natives loved him because they thought he was the new Tarzan. Oh, Bobby's all right, but he still uses that greasy kid stuff on his hair. And Eisenhower, there's the lowest blow of all. Eisenhower, who went to a summit meeting in all good faith and was called every dirty name under the sun by Khrushchev. I don't blame him for sending back a plane marked U-2. Ladies and gentlemen, mental health, as you know, is a serious problem. Psychiatrists tell us 1 out of every 5 people today is basically disturbed, and the reason he's disturbed is because the other 4 are nuts, completely out of their head. Of course, it can happen any minute. You flop the old cookie and away you go in the funny wagon. Case in point, a man walked into a psychiatrist's office so sick he was vibrating. He said, "Doctor, look, please help. Tell me what to do." He said, "All right, young man, the first thing you must do is cut out smoking." He said, "Why?" He said, "You're burning my couch." And he told him his problem. That man said he felt depressed and inferior because of his small size. And the analyst talked to that small man, talked to him and pointed to pages in history and proved to him that small men had created wonders regardless of their size. He said the mind is significant of the man, not the mere physical shell. And that small man, ladies and gentlemen, walked out of that doctor's office cured. He walked down the street feeling like a giant, thinking of ways to help people, just like himself when a cat ate him. I have found the 2 means to attain unbounded happiness, and they are religion and booze. Because I don't mean separately, I mean drink religiously. Oh, no, you're quite wrong. Alcohol is good for you. My grandfather proved it irrevocably. He did 103 years of research on hooch. Drank 2 quarts of booze every mature day of his life, lived to the age of 103. I was at the cremation. That fire would not go out. How to put a hose on him, of course. I don't recommend indiscriminate drinking, like some of the rubbish the women are prone to order. Those confusing drinks, like grasshoppers, angel tips, horses' necks. This afternoon, I asked the bartender if he had a restroom. He said, "Certainly, sweeter drive removed." I know it's depressing, but there are many other depressing things we face in this country every day. Just look at the news. 200 members of the Peace Corps were just sent to a depressed area, Roger Blau's house. Right here in New York City, Traffic Commissioner Barnes wants to meet face-to-face with Moses. The last time that happened, we got the 10 Commandments. And Africa is arming itself for war. 2 days ago, Katanga Province in Africa purchased a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, which at this very moment is being hammered into millions of spearheads. Golf! There's a thing that torments you and won't let you enjoy yourselves. I've seen most of you play. Whoopee! A bunch of compulsive nuts. You've got to relax to enjoy golf, as I do. I got out of this country's worst sand trap with just 1 stroke. Of course, the doctor said if I had another stroke like that, it'd be all over. You people are compulsive. I was going to tee off the other day. A guy grabbed me by the shoulder, said, "Do you mind if I play through? My appendix just broke." Playing golf with a broken appendix? You know that can throw your whole swing off? Why? Why do we fret over every minor detail in life when it has been proven to us that as men, human beings, Homo sapiens, every time I say that, we have a history of being unconquerable. Go back through the pages in history and see where every great man had a seemingly insurmountable obstacle to overcome. He fought well against said obstacle and therein became great. Men like Demosthenes, the great Greek philosopher and orator, who was forced to keep his ideas to himself because he had a speech impediment. It didn't stop him. He forced himself to stand upon the shores of the Aegean Sea and literally forced himself to cram 30 pebbles into his mouth, and he forced himself to speak clearly against the resounding smashing of the waves as they crashed against the sands, and finally, when he felt prepared, he stood in the Colosseum facing 30,000 Greek senators and said, with his head held high, "Then stimmen Kosten Kosten, von stimmen Kosten Kosten Kosten, ja, Kosten, ja, Kosten, ja, Kosten, The UN, I think you'll agree, is saving us from a horrible consequence of our times, and I found out, strange as it may seem, that peace at the UN is dependent upon one man, the translator. His function is a simple one. He wears earphones through which he translates almost simultaneously whatever is said in a foreign language, and he must do so very diplomatically because one goof and it's Warsville. I should like to attempt for you several languages and some extremely delicate and diplomatic translations. This afternoon here at the Security Council in the United Nations, we will first hear from Mr. Nikita Khrushchev, head of the Soviet Union. He will address his remarks directly to the United States. Mr. Khrushchev. My dear American friends. Peace is the message of the great men in history. Stalin, Lenin, Trotsky, Karl Marx. Men like Washington, Lincoln, Jefferson, and John Adams. We are friends, and so we consider you our equals in culture. Dobry Stazits, our equals in art. Dobre Payola, our equals in music. And now, we will hear from the Israeli delegate, the delegate from Israel who will offer a rebuke to Syria for building restaurants inside of Israeli territory. The delegate from Israel. The Arab legions said they are going to enter our lands, burn our homes, and ravage our women. They're not gonna burn our homes so fast! That's number one. And another reason we're so happy is because we succeeded in shooting up our space rocket on our first attempt. We don't cock around like you cock around. We shut it off, it went up, and forget about it. And the reason we were so successful with our dear rocket was because we used the solid fuel guaranteed to get anything off the ground into space. That solid fuel is called horseradish. You'll try a spoonful of that, Charlie. You'll fly off the chair pretty quick. And now we will hear from the Arctic delegate, the delegate from the North Pole, who will speak about family relations and fallout in that cold, cold climate. The delegate from the North Pole. We are counteracting much of the fallout here by building two types of shelters. Model 1 is a fully lead-shielded container set 6 feet in the ground. Model 2 is exactly the same thing with a headstone. We will hear from the Japanese delegate, the delegate from Japan, who will offer advice to American servicemen visiting in that country. The delegate from Japan. Arigato, nishtai, so desu ka? I hurt myself. Horo, dogo, fesa. Greetings, gallant GIs. Dogo fesa, wanagisha. Soldiers love to read. I'd like to preface all this by saying that you're obviously a very cultured audience, and that's wonderful because so many people today think culture means bacteria. We've become a nation of speed readers in order to improve our culture. We found that reading fast helps because many valuable hours were wasted before we got to the dirty parts. We want to read faster because we found out that many valuable hours were wasted. In deference to your intelligence, I should like to read to you some of the great unpublished works of our classical and contemporary poets. Of course, none of these poems may be reproduced without a poem reproducing thing. In this first, the author attempts to tell us what a poet is and why he becomes a poet. Only the poet knows the earth is in a drop of rain. I watch as a flower grows, I stand among the grain, I have held a tiny bird and felt it throb. I listen to nature and heard, I speak her secret word, I watch the seas, I hear the ocean sob. I listen to these, anything but a job. And yet, it is the poet who can best evaluate man's knowledge as this one does. Man's knowledge is mere children's play. Man still bears the same old woes. Knowledge is still so far away and progress less than we suppose. I bought the lousy nasal spray and I still have to blow my nose. It was called Sonnet to a Mucous Membrane. And here is a charming verse by Stephen Foster which recaptures the nostalgia of the Old South. Farewell to slave and pickaninny, I hear the Southland talk. Carry me back to old Virginia, I'm too stoned to walk. I'm sorry, that was Melvin Foster. Thank you very much. Then there were the great masters of the verse, like Byron, Keats, and the greatest of them all who wrote, Dear Nellie, if I catch you with Kelly, I'll kick you in the belly, signed Shelley. And of course, Byron himself wrote in the more old-fashioned style. There is a definite charm and grace in his ever popular, Alas, fair Phyllis. Alas, fair Phyllis, leaveth my heart a waste, and flees I know not north or south. Alas, that when I spoke in haste, she opened up to me a mouth. As heaven's portals never glowed, her tonsils and her adenoid showed. And since then I have weary walked and lonely since she waxed wordy. You never heard talking like she talked. And died. And so I fled and left her home. In terror I arose, but now I'll bring to her this poem and let her stuff it up her nose. Today, the beatnik poets have a different style, which is hard, brutal, and realistic. My hope is a hollow skull of rotted grin that's bleaching in this mortuary of tortured towers, reaching clotted claws in horror of stone to hollow jaws of broken bone and splintered spine. So won't you be my Valentine? However, as you know, poetry has always held its greatest fascination for lovers. And here the lover asks the eternal question, what can it matter that she bent to me one wild midsummer's eve that sent the senses mad with the way her blonde hair lay livid on the grass, her breath in mine, supine and unclad when my stomach was bad and I had gas. This next is probably the oldest known poem. It was written by a Roman soldier commemorating a great battle. Through the desert we followed Caesar, a fighter and not an abuser. The Greeks attacked us in a patch of cactus. We won. Please send a tweezer. And then the master Shakespeare himself. Shakespeare, as you know, wrote in the Elizabethan style, and although his archaic word usages are not easily understood today, his magnificent iambics and skillful cadences draw for us beautiful word pictures. Here, then, is the battle scene from Shakespeare's immortal King Henry XI the II, wherein Henry describes his grievous wounds as the battle rages. Henry speaks. Odds bodkins, I am throstled, they have gudgeoned me in the mullions. They throstle me in the dossel, it's enough to stunt your crunions. But I turned on my attackers, I caught them by their gaiters, I seized them by their knackers, and I crunkled their potatoes. But they hammered on my scullions and on my grunion too. They kabobbled my cadullions till my gunch was black and blue. They stuffed my mouth with straw, the leaf and then the stalk, and shoved it down my craw. Pwee, no wonder I couldn't talk. Then, of course, my own efforts in poetry lean towards the heavier side of things. In this which I'm about to do for you, I have sought to include the vastness of life itself, the simple, sweet, yet horrendous torture of arising to face each 24-hour period we call our day. The title of the poem is O Life. Oh, life. Of course, it still needs a lot of work.